Hello students, welcome to the biology class once again. So in the last class we learned about the topic of we finished the topic of contraception and we covered the topic of MTP, as well as we covered some of the STDs or RTIs. So I found there are some problems in the answers the questions you attempted. Please, first of all, please refer NCERT before you start attempting any of the assignment questions which are uploaded there. Please remember that even if I fail to send any picture, remember that one of the videos, the last video generally and the smallest video, would always carry 5 to 6 questions of the assignments at the last. So you are supposed to be attempting those questions. Plus, before you attempt, because we cover only 2 pages maximum 3 sheets from the NCERT book, that much you can easily read within 15 minutes, and then you start writing or attempting the answers, because I found you are writing some things which are as if you are referring to the internet and you are using the internet to find out the answer, and it's a wrong indication. Reason, you are preparing yourself for CBSE paper, not for a competitive thing. That's a different story, that you are going to appear for NEET exam. But first thing is your base or your backbone for career is the NCERT book. Please refer NCERT first, then attempt the answers. So we learned about STDs. There was a doubt there with some students. Please remember, STIs are transferred through sex, but not all STIs which are transferred through sex will target the reproductive tract. So there are some STIs which will harm your immune system, like HIV infection, or there are some STIs which will target your liver, and then jaundice will happen to your body. So there are some STIs which don't infect your reproductive tract, and that's why all RTIs are STIs, but all STIs are not RTIs. And then in the last class we started the concept of the infertility, and today we are finishing this chapter. So in the concept of infertility, in the last class I told that there are primary type of infertility as well as secondary. Primary is when a husband and a wife have never succeeded in pregnancy, then it is called as the primary type of infertility. And sometimes what happens after the first delivery or first pregnancy, something happen in the body, and then the couple is not able to achieve conception again. In that case, we believe it is called as the secondary infertility. So something has happened, some complication in the hormones, or maybe some complication in the reproductive tract, and that's why pregnancy is not getting successfully done. So that is called as the secondary type of infertility. Remember that infertility can be because of male, female, or both. So it is possible that any one of them or both of them may have one or the other type of problem. That's why pregnancy is not getting successfully done. Now, male fertility, I told you some of the reasons behind it, as well as the reasons behind the female infertility. So to overcome these things, now first thing everybody suggests to infertility cases, couples and all, that why don't they go for adoption, because adoption is the best thing. In our country, there are so many number of orphans in the orphanages, or you can see on road there are so many people so many kids are there begging and all. So when you look at the present scenario of our country, there are so many destitute children. They need parents to take care of. So adoption is one of the method always told to the infertility couples, that why don't they go for adoption. But otherwise, because adoption is a comparatively easier process, the next method possible is called as the assisted reproductive technology, which are costly processes which not everybody can afford. So what is assisted reproductive technology? Now remember, ART full form, I have seen students mentioning wrongly. They mention artificial reproductive technology. So please be careful. You are supposed to say assisted reproductive technologies. Now these technologies are used for those in which the couple are not able to have baby. So the easiest and the first method, which we all discuss and we read about in the movies, in the last time movie also came regarding test tube baby. So we all know what is test tube baby, but please remember, the baby is not developing in the test tube. Please don't write such type of answer. Test tube baby is but the initial step of the zygote formation and few first division, they take place in artificial medium. That's why they are called as test tube babies. Now, so what is exactly done in test tube baby is in vitro fertilization. What is in vitro? When fertilization occurs in the natural place, that means inside the reproductive tract of female, then it is called as in vivo. And if it takes place in outside the reproductive tract in the artificial or simulated conditions in the laboratory, it is called as in vitro fertilization. So after in vitro fertilization, remember, even the test tube baby method can even have in vivo fertilization also. It is possible that a lady can be hired and then fertilization is done in her body, and then the zygote is collected from there and then transferred into the real mother. So it is possible, but refer NCERT. NCERT only talks about the test tube baby involves IVF, that means in vitro fertilization. So once the fertilization is done, zygote is formed. Now recollect your third chapter. After zygote formation, what do you have? Cleavages. In those cleavages, blastomeres are formed, and then you have morula and then the blastocyst. So what exactly is done after this in vitro fertilization? Embryo is transferred. Now, if the embryo, ET stands for embryo transfer. So embryo transfer is the second step after the in vitro fertilization. And what do we do? What do the experts do after the in vitro fertilization? They transfer the embryo into the fallopian tube or into the uterus. Now, there are two ways of performing ET or embryo transfer. One method is zygote, Z-I-F-T, zygote intrafallopian transfer. That means the zygote is getting transferred into the fallopian tube, and the second method possible is intrauterine transfer. So you are transferring the zygote into the uterus. So how do you know which one has to be followed? So in the brackets I have mentioned that if this embryo formed is less than 8, equal to or less than 8, it means it is made up of either 8 blastomeres or less than 8 blastomeres, that means 2 cell stage, 4 cell stage, then it is, or up to 8 cell stage, it is transferred into the fallopian tube, and this transfer of the embryo is called as the ZIFT. If it is more than 8 cell or 8 blastomeres in development of the embryogenesis, then it is transferred into